When life gives you Le Mans, make some lemonade. All right, so Le Mans in the Porsche Cup. I've only done I think that season I did GTPs was about the only time I've done Le Mans before. I was able to get a 403 211. Optimals were in the 402s, but it's really, this is one of those, like this and Nürburgring, the laps are so long it's hard for me to practice the way I normally practice. It just takes so long to do a lap. I don't get as many reps in, but I think the fast guys are gonna be doing like 359s 58s in that, somewhere in there. So there's definitely room for improvement, but we'll show you my quickest lap, and then I'll talk through what I was doing, what I was thinking when I was doing it, and we'll come back for some final thoughts.
You've just done a 4:04.5 seconds. You're currently 0.6 slower than your best. Sector 2 time is quick. lap time was at 4:03.2 seconds. Sector 3 time is fast.
All right, Porsche Cup fixed. Le Mans, haven't touched the brake bias or anything like that. Got us a 4:03.211. We'll go through how we did that here. That's the best lap I was able to manage. Full throttle through a lot of this track, but as we start up here, we're gonna go on to the left here. Then as we do, we're gonna come around. As we approach this, we're gonna start lifting a bit. And then as we come and approach the right hand side of the track, we're gonna just start putting a little bit of brake pressure on. And as we approach this first white line here, we're gonna get up heavier on the brakes. There we go, heavier on the brakes. And then we're gonna turn in a little bit before this second white line here, or a little bit after, sorry. And we'll start easing up on the brakes, doing our trail braking. And then as we come over here, we're gonna put a little bit of throttle down in between these two corners. And then we're gonna lift again as we turn the other direction. And then get back on it as we're coming out. And then we'll just go full throttle for the next little bit here until we approach where the track changes color here. That's going to be my next braking point. So we'll go there, lift a little bit, hit the brakes, and then we want to do our heavy braking kind of in a straight line here, and then we'll turn in and start easing up off the brakes, which is our trail braking. We'll start easing up. Hold that little bit of brake pressure there. As we come around. And we'll put the throttle back down. And then we've got so much wheeling, we've got to wait until we start to bring it back out before we can put the throttle the rest of the way down. Then we're going to go full throttle here for a little bit. We had a little lift. Had a little lift here. It's probably possible to take that flat, but I end up having to do a lift usually. And we're going to full throttle for a ways. I use this in my head as like kind of where I got to start thinking about braking. I end up braking where this light and line are here. So we're gonna go. We just want to breathe on the brakes here. We want to really focus on this exit, because we've got a big long straight coming up. So we just hold a little bit of brakes. Don't want to go too far over onto this curb, because this curb and this curb over here both have slowdowns on them. So we don't want to use much more than I end up using here. We're back on the throttle. And we're just going to push this out there. And again, like I said, we don't want to go pretty much any further than that, I don't really think. And we were full throttle for a long time down the Mulsanne Straight here, down to the first chicane. We're gonna look at the 200 marker up here. That's where we're gonna want to brake. That's where I want to brake. And probably do around this, but I'm trying to do a good job on the braking here. I broke a little too strong maybe there. When I end up goofing up the partway through the chicane here, because I'll end up getting on the throttle partway through, but we just want to hold the brakes. So, and start slowing the car down, downshifting, easing up off the brakes as we come through this first part of it. And we don't want to go too far over onto this curb again. Just kind of brush it. And see, that's where I hit the throttle. I think you just kind of want to stay on the brakes there. Or just coast, maybe. But anyway, we're going to get back a little bit heavier on the brakes as we come around the second corner of it. And then as we're coming around, we can start getting back on the throttle. And then once we get the wheel straightened out, we can get the rest of the way on the throttle. And we got the rest of the Mulsanne, or this third of it, I guess. Full throttle through here. Again, we're going to look for the 200 marker on the right hand side of the road here, and that's going to be where we want to brake. There we go. Start braking. Again, you can probably go a little bit past it, but When you're, especially when you're, if you're drafting somebody, you want to brake a little earlier. We want to prioritize the exits more than crazy entries. We want a good entry, but the exits are more important with these big long straightaways. But we're easing off the brakes as we come through, and we'll put the brakes back on as we for this part of the corner, and then ease off again. As we come around, we'll start put the throttle back in. And then once we can straighten out the wheel, there we go, rest of the throttle. And again, full throttle down this way until we get to the 100 marker, and there's a little cone there, but the cone's probably going to be gone after the first lap or two, I'm guessing. We're going to start, I crossed my inputs for a little bit too long there. We're going to start using the brake here. Not super heavy, this braking zone, but it's long because it's long. But we're just going to hold that brake pressure there, downshifting, and get down to second as we come around here. Eventually. And we're going to start getting heavier on the brakes as we approach this corner. Then we'll start easing off again as we come around. We have a lot of wheel when we come through this. And we're going to start putting the throttle down as we cross the apex there. And the rest of the throttle. And then we've got another long straightaway with, I guess, a couple little curves in there. But we're going to... I use the 100 as my braking point here. Maybe there's a better way to do this, but this is how I do it. I'm going to lift, put a little bit of brakes in for this first part here, and then as we come through, I'm going to ease off on the brakes, and then just hold a little bit of brake pressure. Then as we approach the next corner, we're going to get back on it. And we'll ease back off. Getting down to third. We're down to third here, and then we're gonna start putting the throttle back in. We gotta once again have a lot of wheels, so we gotta be careful not to just slam on the gas. We can wait until we can slam on the gas, and there we go. And we're full throttle. And my next braking zone I use is there's this white line here. And it's like kind of in between, say halfway, is kind of where I'm aiming for my braking point. Halfway in between this white line and the yellow green up there. So we're gonna go, and we'll hit the brakes. And we're gonna get down to second here. We'll ease up off the brakes as we're turning in. So ease up off, ease up off. And we got a lot of wheel. We'll start to put a little throttle in. And as we open up the wheel, we can put the rest of the throttle down. And then we are full throttle for a while. And this is the hardest part for me. I really struggle with this part of the track. About the 100 markers where I'm going to start thinking about my brakes. So start getting on the brakes a little bit there. I'm crossing my inputs a little bit much. And this section, I'm by no means perfect, but this is my best lap. So that's what one we're going to show you here. All right, ease off the brakes as we come around. And we'll start to get back on the throttle. There we go. Full throttle, not full throttle. Back on the throttle. And then this corner here, I lift for. In this lap, I lifted probably a lot more than I really ought to have. But it's what we ended up doing. I think you could like lift maybe this much for the corner, but I ended up like coming way more off of it. Which kind of messes up the following corners. But we're back on. And I think some people might be able to do this flat out, but I tried that and I ended up in the wall. So We're back full throttle. And then we'll start easing off here. A little bit of brakes. So we're coming around. Turning in to the left. Then we'll just hit the brakes a little bit. And we'll get back on the throttle. Kind of feathering, feeling the grip through this section. Get back not full throttle, with a lot of throttle there. And then I lift, just maybe a bit too much. And then as we're coming around here, get back to the rest of the throttle. And then this corner, just brake a little bit for as we're coming up. As we come around, we can put the throttle back in. And I lifted there a little bit because I thought if I kept that amount, if I had kept that amount of throttle in, we would have come out further onto this rumble area here. And there is a off track if we don't get back, if we use too much of this area here. So we'll just use that there, and then we're back to full throttle. And we are full throttle for a little while here until we get to the pit entry. And about halfway through the pit entry is where I'm going to start braking for the first of these chicanes here. So there we go, we're braking. I'm aiming to get down to third is kind of what I'm looking for in this first part of the chicane here. I'm gonna ease off. Turn a little bit more and put a little bit of throttle in. Brake. And then we can put a little bit of throttle in as we get the car straight. Then as we approach this little rumble strip area is where I'm gonna start hitting the brakes again. Ease off as we're turning in. And then we'll touch the throttle as we're going over that, putting the left tires on that curb, and then we'll do the same on the right. Keep the weight towards the back as we're bumping into those. We've got a lot of wheel in there, so we gotta wait till we turn the wheel straight, and then we were full throttle. There we go. 4:03 to 11. So yeah, excited for the new season to get going here. Le Mans is the first race. I think there's like a 30% chance of rain for the fixed races and no chance for the open ones. Fingers crossed I don't hit a rain session. I probably will at some point, but hopefully we'll survive it okay. And yeah, Le Mans is probably one of my weakest tracks, so not excited for it to be the opener, but we'll power through. We'll do it. We'll see how it goes. If you want to watch along live when we do these, head on over to twitch.tv/thepiltdownman. Thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't. If you think I earned it, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you next time. Bye.